Greetings, everybody. How you doing? This video is titled "For a Fear to Conscious Creation." It's about the natural laws that change everything. So I'm going to ask you a question to start with. Have you ever had one of those moments? A moment where everything goes quiet, no phone, no distractions, no noise, and for just a few seconds, you're left alone with your thoughts. In that moment, a question appears. A question many people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. A question that whispers from somewhere deep within, is this really it? Is this all life is supposed to be? You wake up, go to work, pay bills, rinse and repeat. You chase goals, you buy things, you seek approval. You grow older, and then one day it's over. Because if we're honest, millions of people are living lives they never truly chose. They're living according to expectations, the programming, the conditioning, the fear. They are just surviving, but they are not thriving. They are existing, but they're not fully alive. And the tragedy is that most people never discover why. We are living in one of the most connected times in human history, yet loneliness is everywhere. We have more information than any generation before us, yet many people feel lost. We have more technology, we have more convenience, more opportunities, and yet anxiety continues to rise. Why? Why do intelligent people feel powerless? Why do hardworking people feel stuck? Why do so many good people live lives far below their potential? I believe the answer is simple. Because fear has now become the operating system of modern life. Fear of failure, rejection, fear of being judged, fear of being wrong, of standing out, of standing alone, the fear of change, the fear of success, the fear of our own potential. And when fear becomes the operating system, life becomes a reaction, not a creation. We begin waiting instead of acting, consuming instead of creating, following instead of leading, and reacting instead of responding. And before we know it, the years have passed. Your dreams have faded and your potential remains unrealized. Not because you lacked ability, but because fear became stronger than your purpose. So I want to share something that changed my understanding of life forever. It's ancient and it's universal. It's something that belongs to no religion, no government, no organization, no ideology. It's natural law. Not legal law, not man-made law, natural law. The principles that govern reality itself, it's the principles that were operating before any government existed. It's principles that continue operating whether we believe in them or not. You don't have to believe in gravity for gravity to work. And in the same way, you don't have to believe in natural law for it to influence your life. The question is not whether these laws are operating. The question technically is whether we understand them. Because understanding the laws changes everything. So I'll begin with the most important, the law of cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, every result has a source. Every outcome begins somewhere. That's true in nature. It's so true in business. It's also true in relationships and in personal growth. For instance, you plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple tree. If you plant nothing, you harvest nothing. Simple, obvious, and undeniable. Yet when it comes to our own lives, many of us forget this principle. We want confidence, so we plant hesitation. We want abundance, but we plant procrastination. We want freedom, but we seem to plant dependency. We want peace, but we plant fear. And then we wonder why the harvest never arrives. Natural law asks a very powerful question. What causes are you creating today? Because your future is being built right now, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Every thought, every choice, every habit, every action, every day. Most people spend their lives fighting the effects. Natural law teaches us to examine the causes. And the moment you begin examining the causes, you start to reclaim your power. Not power over others, but the power over yourself. And that brings us to a word that has been deeply misunderstood, sovereignty. You see, True sovereignty is not a legal status. It's not a loophole. It's not an escape from responsibility. True sovereignty is nothing more than self-rule, self-governance, the ability to govern your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own actions and your own decisions. Because if you cannot govern yourself, something else will. Fear, anger, addiction, approval will all govern you. The opinions of strangers will govern you. True freedom begins when self-governance begins. And self-governance begins with awareness. Awareness of what drives us. Awareness of what controls us. Awareness of the stories we tell ourselves. So let's talk about fear, because fear has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. Think about it. How many businesses were never started because of fear? How many books were never written? How many conversations were never had? How many relationships were never formed? How many opportunities were missed? How many lives were never fully lived? Not because people weren't capable, but because fear convinced them they weren't. You see, fear whispers, stay where you are, play it safe, wait until you're ready, maybe next year, maybe someday. But someday is a dangerous place, because many people spend their entire lives living there. And natural law teaches you something extraordinary through the law of polarity. Everything exists on a scale, hot and cold, dark and light, fear and love. They're not separate things. They're just different degrees of the same thing. This means fear is not your enemy. Fear is feedback. It's information. It's showing you where growth is calling. It's showing you where courage is required. It's showing you where transformation is waiting. So the question is not, how do I eliminate fear? The question is, how do I move one step closer to love? One step, one degree, one action. Because transformation does not happen overnight. It happens choice by choice, moment by moment, day by day. And eventually something remarkable occurs. The person who once lived in fear begins creating consciously. Not because life became easier, but because they became stronger. This is conscious creation. And conscious creation is not magic. It is not wishful thinking. It is not sitting on a sofa waiting for the universe to do the work. Creation requires participation. Creation requires responsibility. And it requires action. I mean, the word responsibility itself tells us everything we need to know. Responsibility. The ability to respond, not react. Respond. Most people react. Conscious creators respond. And that difference changes everything. So let's look at another principle, the law of correspondence. As within, so without. Your outer world often reflects your inner world. The quality of your relationships, the quality of your habits, your decisions, the quality of your results. All of these are connected to what's happening within you. It's not blame, it's about empowerment. Because if your inner world influences your outer world, then changing your inner world becomes one of the most important and most powerful things you can do. You see, most people want circumstances to change first. Natural law teaches us that transformation begins within, then appears without. The cause becomes before the effect. Always. Now imagine if millions of people understood this. Imagine if children were taught emotional mastery instead of emotional suppression. Imagine if responsibility replaced blame. Imagine if courage replaced fear. Imagine if service replaced selfishness. Imagine if people understood that every action creates consequences. Imagine communities built on growth, accountability, integrity, and truth. Imagine a world where people stopped asking, who's going to save us? And started asking, what can I contribute? That world begins with individuals. Individuals who choose growth, who choose awareness, and who choose responsibility, and also choose conscious creation. And this brings me to the law of one, perhaps the most important principle of all, the understanding that while we appear separate, we are connected. Every action creates a ripple. Every act of kindness matters. Every act of courage matters, and every act of integrity matters. The greatest delusion of our age is separation. We have been divided by labels, politics, religion, background, status, belief systems, yet beneath all of it, we are human beings seeking meaning, purpose, truth, connection, and seeking love. The law of one reminds us that we contribute to others ultimately contributes to the whole. And what we diminish in others diminishes the whole. When people truly understand this, life stops becoming a competition and begins becoming a contribution. This understanding is one of the foundations of the I Am community. Not because we claim to be perfect, not because we claim to have all the answers, but because we are committed to learning, committed to growth, committed to understanding natural law, self-governance, responsibility, and committed to becoming better than we were yesterday. People from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different experiences, united by a shared desire to grow, to learn, to understand, evolve, serve, and to become. And let me be absolutely clear. When we speak of sovereignty, we're speaking about self-mastery, personal responsibility, spiritual growth, conscious living, not legal theories, not legal advice, not financial advice, not medical advice. This is about understanding yourself, understanding reality, and aligning your life with principles that have always existed. Because the greatest transformation is not changing the world. The greatest transformation is changing yourself. And when enough people change themselves, the world will change naturally. So let me ask you something. What would your life look like if fear no longer made your decisions? What would you attempt? What would you build? Who would you become? What dream would you finally pursue? What truth would you finally speak? And what action would you finally take? Because deep down, you already know. You know the conversation you need to have. You know the habit you need to break. You know the action you've been postponing. You know the person you're capable of becoming. The question is not whether you know. The question is whether you will act. Because life rewards action. Growth rewards action. Transformation rewards action. Natural law rewards action. Not perfect action, but consistent action, courageous action, and conscious action. And perhaps that is why you are here today. Perhaps this message is arriving exactly when it needs to be. Perhaps the voice inside you knows that there is more, knows that it is right. Perhaps you were never meant to merely survive. Perhaps you were meant to create, to contribute, lead, serve, grow, to become. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when fear disappears, but now. Because fear may never completely disappear, but courage can become louder, purpose can become stronger, and truth can become clearer. And action can become greater. The world has spent long enough teaching people to fear failure, rejection, criticism, uncertainty, each other. But what if your life was never meant to be governed by fear? What if your purpose is greater than your fear? What if your potential is greater than your doubt? What if your future is waiting on the other side of a single courageous decision? And what if the greatest act of courage is simply choosing to become who you truly are, not who society expects, not who fear demands, but who you know deep down you were born to become? Fear has had its turn. Now let courage have its turn. Let responsibility have its turn. Truth, growth, let conscious creation all have its turn. The laws are already operating. The opportunity is already there. The path is already open. And the power you've been searching for has never been outside of you. It has been waiting within you all along. The question is no longer what kind of world do I live in? The question is what kind of creator will I become within it? The choice is yours. Thank you. Stand in your power.